Savo starts with Bikurim, and Bikurim means we bring the first fruits, and also there is a whole nusach to recite for Nisan to Hashem Kaharami Obed Aviad Mitzrayim, and so on and so forth. Now, there's a certain juxtaposition over here where a person bringing Bikurim is a certain peak. I've worked very hard. I've invested myself and crops and things like that and seeds. And finally, I have before me something that is a fruit, and it's there and waiting to be, I've just had my first harvest. The nusach of the recital that we say b'Shas Bikurim is all about the Golus of Mitzrayim. As a matter of fact, not only is it all about the Golus of Mitzrayim, the Haggadah is made out of this nusach. The core of the Haggadah takes these psukim and brings out in each and every pasuk the drushes, the nuances of what is of what happened in Mitzrayim and how bad it was. We called out HaKadosh Baruch Hu and so on. So Rechaya remarks over here about why it is that at this high point we roll back all the way again to the Golus of Mitzrayim. So the Rabbi Rechaya says, "V'hakavana b'molitzas haparsha zois." The reason, the purpose of reciting this parsha, sheyischayev ha'adam losis eliboy bizman ma'losi v'shavusay zman ha'yirida v'ashipla shahaylay. A person needs to reflect back at a high point, the low point of his life. V'chein koheles v'yom tov v'yom heyeh b'tov. On a day of good, be in a good spirits. Ubeyom ra ra'eh, and see a bad day or something like that. It's very hard to understand what it means in context. And Bechaya says, "Bi'uroi b'yom tov ra'eh b'yom ra." You should be able to see the bad day. Why? What's the point of it? Why is it like that? So Rabbi Bechaya explains, "V'zeh kedei sheyizboinen b'yisron sheyesh lo, v'zyedah zeh Hashem yisal ateva meitav lo." Let's discuss this point and understand what he's saying. It's a point that's relevant to a lot of our ongoing Shevach Nadal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A person, when we look at things in a certain context and contrast. So, for instance, a person that walks into a house that is very nicely done and painted and so forth, he's impressed. It's very nice. Yeah, it's nice. It's good. A person who's been to a house where he saw it bare walls, not painted, and then he walks in and he sees it at some point painted and beautiful, then the person realizes what he sees. If we have no context, so we walk into a house that's painted and nicely done, our context is other homes that are similarly painted, and this might be a bit nicer, which is very nice, but that's it. It's only when I'm able to see something on a context that I really appreciate it. So it's one of the reasons why you put a painting up against a background that's markedly different. You'll have a frame that is very different, and set into the frame, the eye perceives what's there in ways that are much more appreciated. There's a lesson in the Zohar that less there is no light but the one that comes from darkness. When you walk and it's light outside, it's light. And someone says it's light, yeah, it's light. But when it's dark and then you see the sun rise and everything lights up, is a very different appreciation, understanding of it. It's more than just appreciating it. It means we actually understand on the background of what it is. So let's take a simple example. A person who's healthy and good, and he says, I need to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for every breath I take and every beat of my heart. Okay, yeah, we definitely subscribe to that. But we don't have, it's hard to say that statement has a very powerful impact on us. But imagine a person, God forbid, suffers from an asthma and he's gasping for every breath and gasping and gasping and gasping. And finally, at some point, he's able to breathe again. The person appreciates every breath that he can take. It's a whole different world of appreciation. So being able to appreciate what a person is doing is only possible if it comes on some other background. It's one of the reasons why the world does not appreciate what a Kadosh Baruch Hu is giving, because we don't really contrast it. We don't say, well, we should have had nothing. We shouldn't be alive, but Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us life. No, we're alive and good, and Hashem sometimes nice to us, less nice to us, but I don't see my existence as being the result of him, so to speak. That's why it's such a it's so critical that we're able to juxtapose it. It's coming, unfortunately, less and less common because war survivors, Holocaust survivors are dying and they're barely left. But it was common many times with family get-togethers with a survivor, where the survivor would give a context and say, I came a broken, battered person, no family, nothing whatsoever, $1 in my pocket, and look, Baruch Hashem, I have 100 descendants, and each and every one is doing wonderfully well. It brings out and appreciates everything. The darkness and the lack is what gives the existence some meaning. I want to give a sort of a something similar in a very different frame. The Babli is called Machshakim Moshivani. Talmud Babli came from a place of darkness. Yerushalmi is from Eretz Yisrael, it's light. If you learn Yerushalmi does not have many Havaminas, doesn't go through a lot of back and forth. It just basically gets to the point. Ironically, it makes it a lot more obscure for us because it's hard to tell what you mean where you don't understand what you don't mean. But then in the Babli, it's full of Havaminas that get rejected, but now we understand what can't be and therefore why what is. So the Rabbi Bechaya here is telling us that Bikurim would never be appreciated unless we're able to contrast it with what we don't have. The fact that a person comes to his field and his stuff beginning to grow, it's nice, it's good. We can say, thank you, dear God, but I don't really get it. But when I stand there with that fruit and I say, I was a slave in Mitzrayim, completely sunk into their country, having nothing of myself, no land, no product, no goods, nothing. This is who I am without HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has taken me, this is what I have a real appreciation for what it is I'm bringing here. So bringing Bikurim and reciting the whole being in Mitzrayim and so on is really a model for us, Bakaras HaTov. Whenever we look to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu in davening, whatever, we need to see ourselves in the situation of not having, in the situation of how it was when I didn't have, and keep that as a background for what we do have. The only way to appreciate what we do have is by putting in the context of what we don't and what we didn't have.